I'm Nan Blaine Hilliard, Director of the Zion-Benton Public Library. I'm here actually partly with my library hat on and also with my Chamber of Commerce hat on because these candidate forums are being co-sponsored by the Zion Area Chamber of Commerce and the Winthrop Harbor Chamber of Commerce. And assisting us today are Yvonne George from the Chamber Board, Mike Ruppke from the Chamber Board, and Ron Lewis from the library staff. So those are our helpers today. Our format will be that you're in alphabetical order. I'm a librarian, I can do alphabetical order really, really well at this point in my life. Although actually I could tell you about the Mac and Nook situation and how that gets alphabetized, because that's a thing that computers have changed, but I won't get into that right now. That's digressing too much. However, each candidate will have an opportunity to make a 3-minute opening personal statement. We will then entertain questions from the audience, and each of you will have an opportunity for 1 minute for responses to the questions. And then at the end, you may make a 2-minute closing statement. And mic is on, so I can take it from there. And I will pass this along, and Mr. Delahanty, you can begin if I can keep this from strangling anybody. That would not be good. That would narrow down the field.
Thank you. My name is Greg Delahanty. I'm running for the school board, primarily because I want to be involved in education, or continue my involvement in education. Right now I am a working teacher. I work for the Kenosha Unified District as a high school history teacher. And I am retiring at the end of this year. This is the opportunity to continue involving myself in education, as well as, I hope, improving education. I think there's many things in every school district that have need of improvement. Zion in particular has been struggling with making annual progress. The percentage of students that are on free and reduced lunch is very high. That particular population presents a lot of challenges. I believe I can help at least bring ideas to the table that can address those issues better. And I believe that one of the most important things that need to be addressed in any school district is the idea of collegiality and collaborativeness, that teachers have to be part of the conversation about whatever goes on in the school district. They have to be part of the decision-making process. And as a resident and a taxpayer, I want to make sure that my money is spent wisely, that taxes don't go up, that where we're spending our money is the most appropriate place to do that. Thank you.
My name is Kim Leach, and I have been a member of the school board for 8 years. This is my 8th year. I worked at Abbott Hospira for 33 years. Retired for a couple of years, took a little break, and now I'm working at Cancer Center Treatments of America, where I feel very, very fulfilled in that position because I feel like I'm making a difference. I considered being elected on the board primarily in the very beginning because I had 3 kids that went through the school and 2 stepchildren. Those children all got a very good education at Zion High School, a very good education. My stepson was National Merit Scholar, so there are a lot of good things going on at the school, and I wanted to be a part of it. There's always improvement areas, and we're always looking for those. We are fiscally responsible because, our school is, has a stable environment, and so I feel that we've done a really good job with that so far. And you can never predict what the state's going to do or not going to do, but we always keep our finger on the pulse of that. The reason that I really wanted to help more students go to college. I mean, we have a lot of great athletes, and those athletes were, I wanted to make sure we were focusing on that. And so that's my primary reason for initially getting on the school board. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christina McCullough, and I've been on the board 4 years. I actually graduated from Zion-Benton in 2002, and so right out of undergrad, I wanted to join the board to help the students and as I joined, I realized we were already helping them get out of pathways because the program was in place where once you came in at a certain educational pathway, you couldn't get to the next one. So we created a new curriculum where they had a chance to get to different levels. Like if you start on the bottom, you can end up in AP courses and things of that nature. And I wanted to help them not only do that, but go to college and realize other opportunities that were available to them. So, and I'm currently working on my master's, and I would like to have another chance to be on the board and to do more, you know, working with the students and helping them graduate and helping them see other opportunities that are out there for them.
Hello, good morning. My name is Kathleen Richards. I am a longtime Zion resident, ZB graduate. I go to church in Zion. I live in Zion. I've lived in Beach Park. I've lived in Winthrop Harbor. I grew up primarily in Winthrop Harbor, so I have a connection within the entire District 126 community. My children, my oldest is a graduate of the New Tech campus of the first class. I have 2 children who are currently in private school, but my daughter will be going to Zion again in the fall. So I have obviously a vested interest in what happens as within the ZB community, within the school system. I want good things for these kids. A lot of these kids, I've been their soccer coach, I've been a Sunday school teacher, a VBS leader, all these things. I actually know the kids. My husband and I were in charge of concession stand for ZB Sports Boosters. So education and these children in particular are important to me. I have a degree in industrial relations, which means I can run your company or I can run your union, so I am aware of what fair labor practices are and how important it is to maintain good communication, not only with parents, students, but teachers and the board. We all need open communication and we need trust, and that's something that takes a long time to build. And I hope that I have enough community knowledge, know enough people, enough different people in the community to kind of have a pulse of what the community would like to see, as well as what we, as if I was elected to the board, the responsibility we would have to determine where the best places are to put these taxes. I'm an efficiency expert. So I look at a company as a whole. I can break it down into the small parts. I find the weaknesses. I try to eliminate the weaknesses. If I can't, I try to minimize the weaknesses. And I try to build the strengths. So I think I have a lot to offer. And I hope to have that opportunity to show the community in a positive way.
Hi, my name is Sharice Wilson. I am not a longtime resident of Zion, but I have resided here for the past 8 years. I am a military wife. My husband is a chief in the United States Navy. Really short about myself, I have a bachelor's in business administration, a master's in human resources management. I definitely have a vested interest in the community. I opted to kind of stay back as my husband, took his different tours in the military, because I did have 3 young children that were going up through the school system. 2 have already graduated from Zion-Benton. 1 is actually in the Navy. 1 is at Prairie View State University, 2nd year. And then I have a 9th grader who's right at the school now. So I've been able to see through the early ages of them going to the elementary schools, the junior high school, as well as the high school. I definitely have a vested interest. I am an advocate for kids' education, furthering their life, and seeing what's more. I've had an opportunity to live abroad and so forth, so I just know that there's so many other open doors out there for the kids, and I want to be a part of that experience for them. I think I bring a lot to the table from a business perspective, working in human resources, having that sensitive touch with people, definitely with kids. I'm even working in the curriculum side of HR, so setting strategies for educational purposes. But first and foremost, I just want to be a part of the educational experience for the kids. I know that we're challenged here in Zion, and I don't think it's any different than any other community. I mean, we just faced with different challenges. I think we have a very diverse community, which is great. We're not lopsided in any other way, but I just think that there are some things that we can go forward with for improvement. I would like to partake in that experience. I would like to help create that strategy. I would like to get the community involved more. I know as a parent, I always want to be involved, but don't really know how. Don't really know the forums that are available for us, the activities. And so I want to get the parents engaged because I believe the education starts at home. Last but not least, it's just a part of the community. I live here, I work here, and so I want to ensure that we're raising our children to be advocates, whether it be for business, for education, furthering their education in college. We know we have a lot of children that want to play sports. You know, that's their ticket, so they think, right? I want to be able to stretch their minds just a little bit more to say, hey, you know what? There's so many other cool things that you can do, and I don't think we have those avenues for them. So with that being said, I'm hoping to become a board member for the first time in order to kind of, you know, learn those experiences as well as teach those to the next. Thank you.
Okay. Got cards, got questions, people? We will start with you and then we'll move it. And I was reminded last night that we need to, well, we'll go this way and then we're gonna, so that everybody has a chance to be the first responder and everybody has a chance to be the second responder. The last responder, so we won't just go back and forth, right? George and Gibby, that will be our, keep me on task though. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. Well, last night, 1 minute. Yeah, you get 1 minute for each one, and I'm just gonna yell. Last evening we had, I will yell, and I hope that will get picked up by what you have. Okay. What measures can be put into place to keep pace with technology?
I think that with technology, I mean, it's a constant, it's an evolution, it's got constant. So I think keeping up with the latest computer system programs as it relates to education, so educational tools for our children. I know that federal, state, local government always, you know, imposes new rules, regulations, examination levels that we need to reach as a community. So I think keeping intact with the technology programs would be appropriate for an educational setting. I can do that.
In the area of technology, actually, I have some firsthand knowledge on this because my children, all three, went to New Tech at one point, and I can tell you now that I have 2 children at a private school. My children wow those kids with presentations. Zion really does. If you want technology, NT has it. I won't deny that. I can't say how advanced they are at the main campus, because that I don't have firsthand knowledge of. But I don't know very many children who do not know how to operate an iPod, iPad. I realize there are some business applications, but many of the kids already know how to use a lot of the office products that are out there, and a lot of the items as well. Kids are not lacking in desperately wanting technology, and I think they find ways, whether it's at the local library or friends.
I think we're keeping up with technology. As a current board member, I have to put the praise on our teachers and our research abilities to build on what we already have, which is important. That way we not only keep up with technology, but stay fiscally responsible as we make sure that our students are ahead of the gap and make sure that they're in tune with what's happening in other school districts and around the world. Making sure that they know how to use the materials not only for educational but in business when they're preparing to leave our schools.
I agree, technology changes very rapidly, and you know, you jump in at the very beginning and then there's something new next year, as everybody has experienced even with your cell phone. You know, you start off with an iPhone, then it goes to an iPhone 2, 3, 4, now we're on iPhone 5. So you know, technology is constantly changing, and as a school, we're responsible to keep up with that, and we are doing our best to do that. We have, you know, regulations with test taking now, and test taking is going to have to be on a computer. Every student's going to have to do that, and we have to be responsible to make that happen. And I feel that we are doing that. My grandchildren are going there, and they have, you know, the PowerPoint presentations that they can put together at New Tech as well as at ZBTHS is amazing. They teach me things every day on how to communicate our data. So, so I agree. It's something that we are very aware of and working on constantly.
There's two parts of technology, hardware and software. Hardware is something that is always changing, and I'm sure the district does a fair job of maintaining some kind of currency. Software is actually the using of technology, and I think that's probably much more problematic. While some children obviously have access to computers at home and may do well, many others do not. As a teacher, I can tell you that there's a great disparity in what they say they can do, or what they think they can do, and what they can actually produce. So making sure that there is equity in access to technology, and making sure that there are skill-based courses that they utilize this technology, and I think is a very important issue that needs to be addressed. And how well it's addressed, I don't know, but I suspect there's an equity gap.
Okay, well, I guess we'll work our way back, and I'll try to keep up. So you can say, hey, it's my turn. Okay. Financial position is very important, given the fiscal state of the state. What is your background or experience with budgets and finances? Sir, yes.
I, as a small businessman, balanced a budget. I ran a business in Winthrop Harbor for 15 years. I hired, I fired, I had to pay taxes, I did all those things. So I would say I have some experience balancing a small business budget. As far as the district budget, no, I've never been on a district board before. But numbers are numbers. You can't spend more than you take in.
With my experience at Hospira, I was a sales representative, and I was responsible for a $20 million budget, that $20 million territory, which I had to maintain and keep up with. At the high school, we are constantly, you know, looking at our budget, and we're making decisions. We have 5-year plans, 10-year plans. We have plans that, you know, kind of try to determine the pulse of our state conditions, and we manage our budget based on projections of what we think is going to happen. I think that budgets are very important at the school, okay? It's very important everywhere. A business cannot be successful if you don't have your eye on the budget at all times.
I have 4 years experience on the board. I'm also on the Business Bid and Finance Committee. I am an account executive for PepsiCo, and I manage their campaigns. And I usually manage around $5 million budgets for quarterly rollouts. So, and we stay focused on what's beneficial for not only the company, but also for the school, to make sure that the finances go as far as we can go and to save in case of hard times.
In the area of finance, I'm the Zion Police Pension Secretary, their security administrator, so that means I keep their books. I get audited every year. So as far as financial record keeping, I have a lot of experience in that area. I am the office manager for Mid-America Medical and Physical Therapy, and budget is absolutely critical. Most advertisers in this area have spoken to me and know I always say, I have to see what's in my budget. You're going to have to wait. I might have to tweak something. I am used to working with a budget. It's absolutely critical, especially in medical care right now, because things have changed so much. It's almost like reinventing the wheel. So I am able to make adjustments as I need to. You do have to plan to save for the unexpected, and I hope that you know, as a mom, you got a budget if you're gonna make it. So
I'm gonna take this in a two-part answer. I've been managing my household budget for 20 years, so you definitely need to do that in order to stay afloat. So that's most important, that's key. But most importantly, as a business major as well as working in the field of HR, I am a compensation manager. So what I do is manage the compensation for an organization of about 4,000 employees. As it relates to their pay, their salary, their variable pay. So very familiar, something I have to do on a cyclical basis annually every year. Top and bottom line is what's key to us, you know. So I definitely have a lot of years of experience with that.
Okay. Kathleen, if you want to take the next one, so as we start ourselves off. What is the biggest challenge facing Zion-Benton Township High School, present and future?
Well, I think, you know, everybody always says budget money, but I think communication is really what the challenge is. The community needs to understand why things are spent the way they're spent. The community needs to be able to feel like they're being heard. A school board, you know, when you sign up to get your name put on the ballot, you're sent a nice little packet of information of how to make a successful school board. And the very first thing it says, I don't know how many people actually read that, but it says communication. And so we have to be able to communicate with teachers. We have to work as a team, and that requires communication to work as a team. And I feel that's really critical. We have to be able to communicate with community, teachers, the board. We have to be friends. We can't be adversaries. And trust takes time. So that's what I would like to see.
I would like to say it's education, not only getting the students to be involved and to understand and to really gain knowledge in math, science, technology, and all the different areas, foreign language, that they feel comfortable and that they be able to apply it, not only to tests, but in their life and in college and in the business world, making them not only successful now, but be able to compete globally. So we have to, I would say education, I'll also say parent involvement. Making sure that the parents know what is happening in the schools and what things we're rolling out and what's going to be helpful after the school day ends to help their kids move forward in their personal education.
I'm going to actually take this in two parts myself. One is communication from the state. I mean, I think that we are trying to guess all the time on what money we're going to get, what the state's going to do with education. They're the ones who give us the guidelines on whether we're making educational progress or not, and those factors change all the time. And are they making the right decisions on that? But we have to follow those guidelines. There's so many hurdles we have right now with our finance, the finances coming into us that are supposed to be our per pupil pay, if we get it, if we don't get it. So, there's a lot of struggles going on at the school right now. And I feel that those struggles kind of hinder us because we're having to focus on that so much with other opportunities.
Probably the two largest problems facing the school board would be, or the school in general, would be one, equity in education. Does every child have an equal opportunity? Does every child have an equal interest? Are we addressing those children's interests? One of the most positive things I've seen in the public format of discussion of education has been the change from No Child Left Behind to all of a sudden the realization that not every child goes to college. Do we offer them pathways to be successful in other ways? Or is there a technical pathway? Have we forgotten about electricians and plumbers and carpenters? Is there an engineering program? Do we address their needs? And finally, I agree with everybody else. Communication. There has to be a good basis of communication within the school and within the community, and we have to force, somehow, develop parental involvement.
For For me, two of the problems that I foresee, and this is a parent, from a parent's point of view, because I haven't had the actual, I haven't had the opportunity to be a board member, but I think it's the educational needs. So meeting those needs of the kids. I think today and in the future, there's always going to be some need that's evolving, that we have some regulation, some requirement from the state, from federal. So I think the present and future challenges that we face is definitely the educational needs and bridging that gap. Being able to have, the appropriate people in place, be it administration, board members, school teacher, what have you, in order to bridge that gap between the changes that we're evolving. We talked about initially technology. We're always talking about the different test scores that we have, be it with the Prairie State exam or, ISAT or ACT. Every day it's evolving. So I think some of our challenges, and we have to meet them at the door, is bridging the gap between those educational needs for our students.
Okay, Christine is the next one. If you don't pass the mic to her. And our next question is, the last round of union negotiations was very difficult. What would you do differently for the next contract? Hide under the table and hope it goes away.
Exactly. Oh, lovely that I am first in this question. Okay. So, negotiations. Well, as you all know, last year was a very creative and colorful year of negotiations. But going forward, I think that better communication between the board and the union, and making sure that our focus is not only fiscal, but our focus is on education and the children, and making the best decision, not only for short term, but long term. Because I think we get caught up in the finances now and what's beneficial for us as adults now, but the focus should be what's beneficial for the kids now, what's beneficial for them in 2 years and 3 years, and long term, because whatever we give them now is going to carry them the rest of the way. So I would want the negotiation to be more focused on kids being happy first, and then the parents and administration being happy second.
Well, being a part of the negotiating team, I will tell you that that was a large portion of my life that was spent on that negotiating table. But I feel that our negotiations really has laid a groundwork that is a good foundation now, and that we will have a better, I think, communication pathway for the next time, and really keeping focus on, we're all in this for one reason, and that's the education of the ZBTHS student body, and that is our primary focus on everything that we're trying to do. RTI Labs was one of our big wins in our negotiations, and with that, it now opens the door for more opportunities for kids to get additional help during the school day, before and after. Thank you.
A strike is a failure of adults to communicate, and it should never happen. And it does usually happen when people stop talking. But that conversation can't happen once every 4 years. It has to happen on a continuing basis. You have to talk to people, you have to build a relationship of trust, and that's an ongoing process, not one that starts the day contract negotiations start. It has to start the day after, and every day after till the next one. I don't think there's any reason why ZB should ever again face a teacher strike if we build honest and open communication between all the stakeholder groups.
Okay. This is my good exercise for today.
So for me, again, not having firsthand knowledge of the union and what actually took place, I can just tell from a business perspective, and I second everything that they've said, but additionally the communication, having an open door. I mean, we know that contracts is about meeting the needs of whatever is in that contractual agreement. So for me, I think it would be the open communication, having what's most important forefront, obviously being our children, and just meeting the needs of both sides, because we're coming to the table because there's a need that has not been met, right? And so we have to negotiate to get there. And I think balancing that activity with our educational requirements is most important.
I too was not involved with the last union interaction, so I can't speak to that specifically. But what I can speak to is that it is my intention to come to the table with the union with the most fair and what the board could consider reasonable based on the means that we have to offer. We cannot pay or provide certain services if we don't have the means to do so. So that would be all I could say, is I will offer what's reasonable within the board's means and work hard to try and find a fair resolution for everyone.
Kim will be our answerer for the next one.
Okay.
There's been discussion of duplication among the 4 school districts that serve the Zion-Benton community. Would you pursue a K-12 unit district? Why or why not?
We actually, with our 5-year plan, 10-year plan, had a lot of discussion in our last meeting regarding, you know, is there duplication of efforts? Are we utilizing our contracts to their fullest? So one of the items that we discussed was, you know, our office max, you know, our office supplies. Do we have the best bang for our buck within our community of schools? Are we all sharing in that contracting strategy? So we are constantly looking at opportunities for consolidation of resources when they will fit. The K-12 idea, you know, we kind of toss that around. It's something that, you know, each community would have to be in agreement on. It's not something that at the high school level we can just say, you know, we want that. But, you know, I don't see a problem with a K-12 strategy, personally.
I basically agree. I don't see a problem with it, nor do I see necessarily a area where it's any burning need to create one district. If there is some working together, there's ideas of sharing costs, which is an excellent idea, great. If there is some documentable savings by consolidation, that would be something I would be in favor of looking at, but I have no strong feeling about it one way or the other. Again, it's not a board decision, it's a community decision.
That's a very tough question, the K-12 question. I think that you can weigh either side and come up with some good outcomes. And I do think it's a community decision. As you are a member of the board, or as you become a member of the board, one of the things that you have to charter for is community involvement. So I think that would be something that you would have to push out to have more input, to understand the desire to do something of that nature. I'm sure that it works in many communities. Not sure if it's a great fit for the Zion area, Winthrop Harbor, Beach Park area, but I definitely think it's a forum larger than just a board. I think it's a community forum that should be evolved in order to determine that type of stature.
So far, I agree with everything that's been said. I really don't have a preference per se. I do think it is a community decision, and I also look at, you know, the possibility if we could unite to help with costs, to unite as one district in ordering things, for example, as Kim gave. That's great. The more areas where we can find to save money there, the more money we have to put into programs for kids. And that's really the idea.
Everybody took all my ideas, but I would just like to say that I'm not variable one way or the other, but we do come together and we do exchange ideas. I kind of like that it's separate so that one group can focus on one set of kids and another group can focus on another. That way nobody is left out, that we can come up with some different ideas fiscally, educationally, and technology. And when we come together, it just makes it better to have more people involved so that the work is more spread and we can get out more communication to the community.
I think the next question technically is Greg, so yeah. And I think I know what his answer is going to be. Well, part of it. Are you familiar with the Common Core curriculum?
Yes, I'm familiar with
And if
Common Core.
so, what is your opinion of it? That was the question. So.
I don't have a problem with the Common Core curriculum. It's not across the whole curriculum. There's, for instance, social studies, there are no Common Core.
So you're off the hook, huh?
Pardon me?
You're off the hook.
As a history teacher, I'm off the hook, yes. The idea of having a threshold curriculum, which is what I believe Common Core is, I think is an excellent idea. It provides a way for every student in every area to have the same questions addressed. But I believe that Common Core, as is adopted by each state, is a state initiative, even though it's a national initiative. The state doesn't have to accept it. Whether it does or not, I actually have no problem. I think it's fine.
Well, as he stated, Common Core is a state initiative, it's a national initiative, and we have to conform with it. Until we, vote out the legislation, it's something that, we're going to have to partake in. Do I feel Common Core? The way I personally feel about that is, when areas weren't providing education, they needed to put in, measures to get people up to standard on that, and they had to put that across the board to all schools, even though some schools were providing a good education, they still have to follow the same measures. And so to me, it's like if there's one person coming in tardy to work every day, and instead of taking care of that person, you put in a program or a plan that says, now we're going to start doing this, and everybody has to do it. So I think Common Core, we do the best with it that we can.
Following up on Kim, it was given to us. Everybody is using it. I actually kind of like it. I think that it's been raising the test scores, and the kids are learning more and getting more engaged with it. So it's one of those gifts that you get that you really weren't expecting, but it turned out to be very useful and very applicable to what's going on in the environment, making sure that they learn as much as possible.
I think that guidelines and rules are important. They help us to give us a foundation, to give us a starting place to know, to have a goal as well. So I think that they're important. The catch is sometimes who makes the rule and what they understand about the rule, and do people think they only have to go to this level? We can't, just say, okay, well, we've hit this mark, we're good here. No, we need to keep progressing. Those are just a basic, and we want to go beyond that. So I think we want to focus high in all areas.
So to agree with everyone that's up here, I think that when we receive rules, guidelines, generally it's put in place as a sense or a formal way to assess something, to measure. And so if we have something in place, something steadfast that's common amongst all, hence the word common curriculum, people sense to have an understanding of it. Everyone can dance to the same song, and everyone is not off doing their own thing, where you start to see different waves of improvement, and you're not sure as to why. So if everyone is following the same curriculum, we all can measure at the same standard. So I do think it's important that if that's something, a derivative that's given to us, then that's what we have to work with until we hear different, until we hear otherwise, especially when it's mandated, right? You can't do anything without that.
Okay. We have two more questions, and so Charisse, if you would take this one and start it off. What educational opportunities would you like to see implemented? Some blue sky thinking for the high school district.
So I think there are a lot of educational opportunities. It's not to say that we don't have many already. One of the things that, and I don't know that this is an educational opportunity that's not already in play, but I think that I would love to beef up the tutoring. We have a lot of kids that fall short in math, that fall short in science. They love gym. Everyone can really excel there if they really try. But I think that we're really, suffering in the science, the math. And I actually, and this is probably kind of harsh, I actually want it to be imposed, that there's some level of tutoring that's required, especially for those children that are not able to excel at the appropriate level. I think we mandate some of those items. I definitely enjoy math. I have to teach my son on a regular basis because his level of understanding is a little bit different than other children. So that's a challenging thing for him. So to have some type of tutors that come in, be it for college or what have you, I think is very important, and it helps bridge the gap for college.
For me, this particular question goes back to community and communication within the community, saying what do you want to see? What my experience is, my children, if they don't have the opportunity to do something they want to do, they go out and find a way to make that happen for themselves. So for me, this is a very difficult question because we will continue, if we can't get it at school, we will find a way to get what we need. Is the school responsible for providing every single possible opportunity out there? I think that's unrealistic. I think the school has to provide a really great foundation, and we have to teach our kids how to find. We can't blame someone else for something we may be lacking. We have to chase after things ourselves. We have to learn how not to quit and not to give up, and to look for opportunities, even if they're not provided, you know, in a common public school setting.
We have so many good programs already in play at the school right now. I would like to see us, which we've already been discussing actually in the last board meeting, doing some more things with technical skills. As Mr. Delahanty mentioned, like plumbing, electrician, engineering. We've actually been talking about implementing some more of those type of classes, and, you know, playing around the idea of giving kids a more focus and highlighting some of those areas which they would normally not look to, and just showing the kids more of an opportunity, helping them to realize what programs we have into play, and helping them to realize, okay, what pathway would you like to be more involved with, and helping them take advantage of what we already offer them is what I would like to see.
Yeah, there's a few things that are running through my mind, but first and foremost, freshman year is the most important year for a high school student's start. When you go into college, they look at freshman, sophomore, junior year, testing, scores, everything. And we're bringing 3 schools together into one, and there's a lot of getting to know each other and everything else. But what I'd really like to do is, I'd like to have more focus on early freshman year, even 8th grade, of college, what it takes to get into college, get your focus on going to college. A lot of kids don't get the support from family members that college is even in their scope or their realm of capability. And it doesn't have to be a 4-year college, it could be, you know, just a continuing education. So we've put in a lot of programs right now on bringing in colleges to the school. What we've done as parents, we've always taken our kids to colleges. It's been very beneficial. So I'd like to see more college visits.
Blue sky moment. I would emphasize the thing I emphasized before, the idea of technology, technological education, whether it's computer courses, engineering courses, electrical courses, plumbing courses, those kind of ideas. Not every student will go to college. In fact, only 30% of American students go to college, and 30% of those fail to finish. What happens to the other 70%? Why are we not addressing their needs with this blind idea of every student should go to college? Every student should have the opportunity to go to college, if that's what they want. If they don't want, they should be provided with other skills and other opportunities. The idea of equity, one of my ideas would get rid of textbooks. If you want to talk about a technological idea, provide every student with an iPad or a laptop. That would address equity as well as getting rid of the sore backs from book bags.
Good for their posture and good for a lot of things. Final question. How would you encourage greater parent involvement and thinking in addition of the large Hispanic community that we now serve, and then how do you model that parental involvement, or how did you if you weren't there? So the next person I think is Kathleen.
Okay, they were specifically referring to the Hispanic.
How
that was mentioned.
That would be one element, yeah.
Because it's been my experience that they are very family oriented, and there is a lot of involvement. My kids have played soccer for years. I've met a lot of wonderful families, and many of them have been Hispanic. And there is family involvement. There's expectation. How do you get people who really aren't interested involved with their kids? That's a sad question. It's so sad, and it's just a chronic problem here. And I don't have a great answer. I'd love to be able to provide the perfect answer, but I can't. But it's my hope that if we can build a little more, I know I keep going back to community, but if we can build community, if I can see these parents and say, oh, are you going to this weekend, or is your child doing that? And if I can pull them in, it's up to the parents who are involved to pull others in. That's the only way you can get them in, because they're too busy. We're in a I'm too busy world. You know, excuse me, my phone is ringing. See ya. That's what we're up against.
I think currently we do a lot with sending out phone calls and things in the mail and posting on the website to get the parents involved, to let them know what we're doing, to invite them in, open door policy, come to our meetings, come, to open house, come see your teachers, come hear about your kid, and to follow up with what, Mrs. Richards said about, they are busy. So I would like to see us ask the parents, what would be beneficial to you? We put things on the website, what would reach you and what would get you more involved? What would make you take more time out to get more involved in your child's education and what's going on with them? Because I feel like once we tap into what's gonna get a very busy parent, some of them even single parents, what time do you have? When do you have 10 minutes, a call or something to get involved? In the Hispanic community, I would love to maybe draft up some letters in a foreign language, because a lot of them don't speak English. So if we can address that, that would be amazing.
Well, I don't know if anybody has attended one of our most recent Parent Bee universities, but I feel that is a good outreach for parents. It's providing them educational opportunities in helping them understand our math curriculum, helping them understand our college, how to fill out your college paperwork, different things like that. So that's one thing that we've implemented. I will say that reaching our students is a community effort, and you might not ever get their parent there, but you can make an impact as a community member on a person's life. And I can tell you specifically that my grandchildren are in sports, and a lot of those kids have no parent involvement at all. But if you're interested in their education, as everybody says they are, then you can help that person along with different tutoring opportunities, or show them the way. A lot of information does not get to the parent or even the student, as far as what RTI labs are available for them during their classroom, during their like passing periods, or their, I don't know what it's called, like art class.
Yeah.
Study hall.
Study hall, that's it.
Increasing student parent involvement is really a difficult but necessary program. You have to have something in place that increases contact. A place to start, which is very difficult, would be with having parent or teachers contact every parent of every student in their class. The larger the classes, the more students they teach, the more difficult that becomes, unless time is cut out of the day somewhere for allowing them to do that. Was that possible right now? I don't know, but it's an idea. And one that I know does work. Increasing individual teacher contact with parents, inviting in parents to sit in a classroom. Any kind of idea that gets more parents into the school, especially with students who are low performing or Hispanic language problems at home. Are there enough translators? Can we find a better way of communicating with parents in general?
I think think everyone has kind of mentioned everything that you need. Communication is a two-way street. You have to have a willing party on both ends, and I think that it's very challenging and difficult given, parents' schedule, be it a single parent, dual parent home. But there has to be a reason, there has to be a desire. So I think the involvement, we have a lot of activities that require involvement, but me, even myself as a parent, if I don't find a need, or if my child is doing okay in school, you may not tend to go to those parent-teacher conferences because, I can go online and look, there's self-view for myself where I can go check out my son's classes and see what the teachers have communicated to them. So that face-to-face contact is not needed all the time. I reach out when I see that there's a problem and I want to intervene, if that's the case. So I think that our avenues are there. But I think it's up to the individual on the other end. I think that we did a really good job of providing those different communication, the back and forth, the two-way street communication. But I think it's a dual role with both parties.
Okay, that's the conclusion of our questions, and so now it's time for the summary. And I think we'll go to the middle to Christina to work with that, and then we pass it to the right or left, so each person can have.
Nan,
yeah.
Can we say anything?
Well, we had questions. Did you have a question to add to
Well, I was just going to say about the community component, what you're talking about. I do think that as a board that you need to be sensitive to the fact that there are parents that do not want to enter the school. They have really bad feelings about the school, whether it's the high school or whether it's just a public school per se from where they came from. So I think you have to always be looking at ways to get out to the people in the community, because like I said, there are times that I know parents will say, I don't want to go to school. I was there, I have no use for it, and whatever the reason is. So I just think that that's a really important component that you need to try to figure out, and I know it's not easy, a way to get yourselves, I think by getting yourselves into the community and getting yourselves even involved in the community, and some of the teachers, administrators, and such and such. Because that way you're going to them, as opposed to them having you always say, come to the school for this, this, and this, because they're interested in their kids, but for some reason there's a barrier, and they don't want to enter those halls again.
That's for a lot of out-of-school adults, and I do remember that.
Yeah.
They said the tapes start to play negative tapes, and
Yeah.
it was a school district that had a 33% dropout rate,
Mm-hmm.
and parents wouldn't go. So, but
Sorry.
that's another place long ago.
Right.
Now, your 2 minutes, dear.
Sorry.
But you did make a lot of, that was a good point, and I hope that we take that in consideration and do the best we can to get out there to them. And I think that having another 4 years would be amazing to be able to get back in touch and to re-implement some focus back on the kids and their future and their plan. I think being the closest in age to them, I understand how to get their attention and to get them involved and to make sure that their needs are met, their voice is heard, because I think a lot of times their voice is lost. And to make sure that we're preparing different pathways and keeping them focused and keeping the community involved and doing our best to just do a 360 where everybody's involved. And I know that's it's a big dream, but why not? Let's dream big and just get everybody involved. So I think that we'll just have another chance to use what I've already learned so far, which is so much, and just really dig deep and do more, make it better.
Pick. Just pick.
I think that there are a lot of great things that we're working on, and I'd like to see them to completion. We just hired a new principal, and he's bringing a lot of great experience with him from the Chicago school districts and what he's dealt with, and so that's exciting for me, and as well as the fact that we are moving into the era of technology where we are looking at removing our textbooks and bringing in some form of a computerized system, either a laptop or an iPad, and so that's something we've already broke the groundwork on, and we're just kind of working on that. So I'm excited about what's taking place at Zion High School. I have 2 grandchildren that are coming up on graduation soon. I have a 9th grader and a junior, and I just want to be a part. I think that it's, I really think that we do have areas that we're changing and improving upon, and I'd really like to see, because we talked about our strategic plan, I'd like to see the integration of our schools in some areas. I mean, there's quite a few that we kind of toss around, so I'd like to see all that come about.
I think it's really important that every school board have diversity. And just looking at the people at this table, I said there's a lot of diversity, there's a lot of experience. I bring another viewpoint and another bit of diversity to the school board if I'm elected. I am a professional educator. I have a master's in education and I'm finishing my doctorate in curriculum. My children also graduated from Zion-Benton. My daughter and son are both very successful. My daughter currently works for the school as the school psychologist. I think that the school has to concentrate on 2 or 3 areas. The idea of equity that I mentioned several times, the possibility of laptops, iPads, to eliminate textbooks. Potentially that's not even an expense. It could easily be a wash, even a major cost savings. The idea of improving parent communication, as we talked about directly in the questions, extremely important. But how do you do that? Those are, I believe, parent contacts. When you try to involve disaffected or isolated groups of the community, like many Hispanic parents are, there has to be an outreach so they feel safe coming forward. Many things, but many of them all come down to 1 or 2 basic ideas: equity, collaboration, working together, and communication. Communication between every member of the community, every stakeholder, which is parents, taxpayers, students, and teachers. Thank you.
What I would like to see happen is I would like to establish some sort of board email system so the public could email us and have a phone, not as we've been discussing, not everyone has access to a computer or is very savvy with email technology. I would like for the community to be able to contact the board and share their concerns. Now, this doesn't mean if Joey got in trouble at school, they call the school board and they expect us to fix this with the teacher. Obviously, that's going to get passed on to the proper administration. That's not what the school board does. But the school board is responsible for the policies that are created, and we're responsible for making sure that those policies are enforced. It's very difficult. I homeschooled my children for 9 years. I have experience in homeschooling, I have experience in private school, and I have experience in public school. I see the differences in them all. Some are glaring, some not so much. And I think that there's positives to be said for all of it. There are a lot of great things that can be done, and if we just had enough information, if we had a broad enough knowledge base to be able to accept, okay, maybe this isn't mainstream, but we really ought to consider this. And my main thought is, as my children are sitting in a classroom, if there are disruptive students, for example, there's a policy. Teachers follow a policy. They send the student to the administrator handles the issue. If it's continued, if there are constant disruptions, our children can't learn. We have to be able to follow the policies and be tough. And sometimes, you have to take a hard stand and say, well, yeah, everyone deserves an education. Sometimes people just can't appreciate it and need other avenues to, I'm sorry, I'm almost out of time. Other avenues to help them realize the value of what is being offered to them.
So I'll keep it brief. I think I have a couple points that I would say. One of the things in hopeful of becoming a board member is just to see continuous improvement with the school. I don't think that we are jarred to the point where we need an overhaul, right? So I think that we're on the right path. So to be able to see continuous improvement, definitely in our scores, A lot of people look at those numbers, even though we don't realize it, and they pay a lot of attention to. When I first moved here, I looked at the numbers. I questioned them a little bit because I was not going to send my kids to school in Zion. But given my many choices, or few choices, should I say, I opted to come to Zion, and I wasn't disappointed. So I think it's a collaborative effort of everyone overall, but I definitely think my kids had a good education. I have one in college, like I say, and I have one in the Navy, and that was just a choice. So I want to see continuous improvement. The other is just to live out our vision. I mean, we all want the same thing, I would hope, for our children, to be successful. Everyone doesn't go to college, and I recognize that. Everyone, may want to pick up a trade, or some may just don't want to do anything, and that's okay too, if that's their sole desire. But I think it's in order to live out our vision that we have here, I think that's very key. The other thing is just to ensure that we're fiscally responsible with our taxpayers' money, right? I'm a living taxpayer in Zion, and I definitely want to make sure that our money is funding the right and it's being used appropriately. So I just want to be a part of that community to say that I did it, right? I get to wear the badge, but also just to see, see how involved we can become and see how our kids can become more involved.
Well, with that concludes our Zion-Benton Township High School District 126 Candidate Forum. Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your busy Saturday morning to come. Thank you to all your candidates. We wish you well. In true Cook County fashion, we'll say vote early and often, but thank you for helping us be able to make more informed choices. And you can all go out to lunch and come back for the Zion Forum this afternoon, which will probably be a real rockin' time. Thank you. What's that? Yeah.